Dragons are just the best. This is a fact of fiction, and it's easy to see why. What's cooler than an armor-plated, fire-breathing, city-devouring super dinosaur? And no, I don't mean Godzilla, but he's cool too. In this fight, cunning meets power as Smaug the Golden faces off against Warcraft's Deathwing. They both look ridiculously awesome, but the question this series asks is who would win in a fight? So let's answer it. Smaug is one of the Uroloki, the race of fire drakes spawned by Morgoth during the first age of Middle-earth. As such, he has incredible size and power. Tolkien describes his rage as shaking the Lonely Mountain, which fits the way he's portrayed in the Hobbit movies. He smashes 100-foot stone columns like toothpicks and body slams the Gate of Erebor, splintering it into tiny pieces. So he's physically a powerhouse, and he can also breathe massive amounts of fire. He destroyed the cities of Dale and Laketown with minimal effort. It only took a few breaths to reduce the latter to a smoking ruin. Middle-earth dragons also possess varying degrees of hypnotic powers, with Smaug seemingly on the lower end of that scale. He could almost force Bilbo to take off the ring, but he wasn't anywhere near the level of Glaurung, who is capable of rewriting someone's entire memory system. This is a little hard to calculate, since his introduction in Warcraft, when he causes a series of huge natural disasters, seems to be the absolute plot-induced peak of his abilities. It's impressive, but throughout the rest of the storyline, even the boss fight, he doesn't show anything near that level. So it's safe to assume that the damage caused was more a factor of the magical awakening process than anything he did deliberately, and that the rest of his showings are a more accurate portrayal of his fighting style. Even that is really quite intimidating, through virtue of size alone. Here are my calculations for just how big he is. Assuming that the average Warcraft character is about 6 feet tall, the size of the claw is extrapolated. And from there his foot, leg, neck, body, etc. can be measured. So, yeah, he's moderately ginormous, but so is Smaug. So how do they compare? And here we have a heavily pixelated elephant, and here's a slightly smudgy serpentine Smaug. Oh look, Godzilla's joined the fray, and three's a party, so that's perfect. But Deathwing just has to butt in and make it crowded. My goodness, he's big. And, oh, and Calagon, dear, you've just provided us with the definition of overkill. That was... So, Deathwing's several times larger than Smaug, with proportional offensive capabilities. This round goes to him.
Armor is iron.
Dwarves can come up with some pretty powerful weapons, so taking on thousands of them at once, eating most of them, and emerging unscathed is no mean feat. Smaug's skin is functionally impenetrable, with the exception of one part on his slimy underbelly that isn't encrusted with diamonds and similar jewels. He's also immune to heat damage, he sustained no injury from being buried in molten gold, and appears to ignore hundreds of thousands of tons of rock slamming into him at high speeds. Yet he was killed by a single arrow that found the right target. So his outward defenses are incredible, but if they're overwhelmed, he has no backup. Most of Deathwing's damage resistance comes from his sheer bulk and resulting thickness of his armor. He, like Smaug, is completely fireproof, and his physical armor is much more durable. It's so tough that hundreds of years of being submerged in lava didn't even leave a mark, and he can tank pretty much any blow that's trying to get through his skin. But he has a glaring weakness. His power comes from the Demon Soul, a magical artifact, and he holds that power inside of his body. It's constantly trying to escape. If it did, he would go kaboom. So huge metal rivets were placed on his armor to hold him together. If those rivets were to be removed, then no more Deathwing, and if only a few were pulled out, he could suffer debilitating pain and lose partial control. So this round is a tie. Deathwing has a clear edge in attack power. His superior strength makes that obvious, and he would have better defense, except for his weakness is much more crucial than Smaug's. Their intelligences are both equal to smart humans, they can both fly at incredible speeds, and they each have countless kills under their belts. So in an ultimate battle, who would come out on top? In the end, Deathwing's gargantuanness would likely tip the scales heavily in his favor. Although Smaug is far more agile, and is smart and magic sensitive enough that he might figure out his opponent's weakness, the odds are that he would be unable to exploit it before the size difference told. Other than tearing out the rivets, his only chance to survive would be calling for Big Brother in Calagon. But, again, the definition of overkill.
Created using Powtoon.